Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. I'd like to start off this morning's briefing by giving a tip of the hat to both Tarian Rain and Lisa Cabrera for sending up the signal flare on this one. There's a number of leading lights among the new voices of black media, and if you're not following Tarian and Lisa Cabrera, you're truly missing out. Now, both of those two have already gone in on this hillbilly bigot, but you know I gotta go ahead and get my digs in. Jason Aldean has gotten himself some headlines recently, though not for anything good, which is pretty much par for the course for him. He is the latest struggling country yokel hoping to get some momentum from the white right by doing some cheap, blatant performative extremism. In fact, the last few years, it's been his and his wife's performative extremism that's been the only thing that's been able to get them any headlines. It certainly wasn't that cat torture that he calls his music. And he's not alone. In fact, a number of washed-up white entertainers, from James Woods to Dean Cain and Kevin Sorbo, have noticed that there's a cottage industry in online racists who have been able to easily bilk the racist right for some easy cash. Most of the denizens of the white right receive state mental health disability checks, so they always have a little money left over to give away to whatever two-bit bigot catches their eye. And so we keep seeing these actors, singers, and other has-beens whose careers flamed out in the 90s trying to give themselves a second wind by appealing to the lowest common denominator of humanity. So they go out of their way to pull these stunts. Aldean's own album sales peaked 6 years ago during Trump's presidency, which explains why, after Trump was voted out of office, Aldean was still so eager to get a picture with him. Needless to say, almost nobody noticed Aldean's pathetic little PR stunt last year, and the few people who did take notice didn't care, not even the white right. But that was last year. So what desperate plea for help has he resorted to this year? Keep in mind, he put out his little lynching anthem back in April, so it's been festering on the internet for a while, but nobody noticed, because this clown's career stalled out years ago. It wasn't until he finally put out a music video to go along with it that he finally got what he wanted and compelled people to talk about him. At this point in Aldean's career, I expect his next move will be to set himself on fire. Now, his little lynching anthem was predictably signal-boosted by the usual suspects, all the putrid toilet bowls of the racist conservatives. And of course, he had a number of these billionaire corporate white media outlets talking about him, so of course he was going to see a sales spike. But talking about him as a #1 album, what does that even mean? There's no big albums dropping right now. So competition was low. This was hardly a tsunami of sales either, and yet the white right, desperate for anything they could point to as a win, acted as if this was some sort of cultural phenomenon, when most of them didn't even know who this guy was before a few weeks ago. Oh, but they were talking about this as if it was some sort of big deal. Oh, he's taking it to those Black Lives Matters folks. This is a turning of the culture. The culture's turning. It's turning, you see. So, how long did that last? Well, don't look now, but this #1 hit cultural phenomenon has already dropped to number 21 in only 1 week. That steep a drop puts him in the top 10 fastest falls in the history of Bilboard's Hot 100. That means the same clowns who were cheering him on just a week ago have already moved on without a trace. This is how far he's fallen in only 1 week. CMT removed his putrid video from their station, and whatever little momentum that he thought he had has clearly burned out. It's no accident that his sales spike occurred when it did. It was at the time of the month when those racist rubes get their state mental health disability money. It's the middle of the month right now, so they've already spent what little pocket change they had. But I think it's also no coincidence that his sales have plummeted at this point, around the time that those racists in Alabama got their butts kicked in front of the world. All those racists who were so giddy over the middle finger to decency that Aldean's lynching anthem represented to them, they got to see a real-life example of exactly what happens to anyone who calls themselves trying to act out his song in the real world. And the people who thought they were going to show that they can do whatever they want, instead they were told to have a seat. Several times. We'll continue with the Moment of Truth in just a moment, but first, a word from the official sponsor of Black Empowerment. Power tools. There's no telling when something's going to come up, so make sure you carry your power tools at all times. You never know when you're going to need to bring the hammer down, or when you'll have some trash that needs to be blown away, or some obstacle that requires cutting down. Don't get caught empty-handed. Keep your hammer close by. Keep that leaf blower at the ready, and always carry your steel. Power tools. Because no matter what your day job or side hustle may be, there's no excuse for not being ready to put in some work. The Alabama Riverside Uprising happening as it did so soon after Aldean's own little phony hype machine, I think that the two played off of each other. Because to see what happened when you had all of these racists who were saying that Aldean song, he had it right, yeah, y'all niggers try coming to a small town. It was humiliating and depressing for all of those inbred bigots to see what they saw. It's hard to feel good about Aldean's song when some black people in the Deep South showed the world what actually happens in a small town when the good old boys get out of line. Aldean could warble all he wanted about his grandpappy and his daddy and somebody's gun and you better get on down the road. But where was Aldean at when his country-fried fans were getting their butts kicked in Alabama? He was on radio silence. Yeah, the black community shut his mouth. So after that, those racists who were giving him kudos online were reminded that you don't win revolutions on iTunes or billboards. You win them in the streets. And in the streets, the racists get run out of town. They got deflated real quick, and I think that had more than a little to do with Aldean's song being put into free fall on the charts now. Of course, nobody was caring about this clown when he put this crap out back in April. The white right pretended to care when the video came out and got noticed, but now that they've gotten to cheer for lynching and be unabashedly racist for a moment, and now that they got checked in Alabama, they've predictably moved on. What the white right wants is for people to get killed. To them, anything short of that is just teasing them. They enjoy vulgar displays of racism, sure, but mere displays or words, no matter how reprehensible, simply can't keep their attention. They want to feel like they've won, as if they have genuinely shown their power that they're not bound by any rules of law or decency. And for them, that means to show that they can kill with impunity, because that's the ultimate power. So he wasn't giving them any dead black people that they could feel good about. And then the humiliation of the world seeing black citizens exercising power over a white mob, well, it showed that Aldean could sing all he wants about his grandpappy and people not getting down the road, but the black residents of Alabama showed that only happens in country music songs. See, the problem with these racist rubes is they get a sugar high off of racism from whatever person is willing to attack black people, but somebody should have told these inbreds that sugar destroys your teeth. And if you're looking to get a mental sugar rush, then it destroys your brain. Not that there's much to damage in their cases anyway. The lesson here for the white right is that their corn-pwned country-fried racists need to shut up and stay out of politics. Nobody cares to have Jason Aldean or his wife, lecture us about anything. This creep isn't qualified to talk about music, much less politics. If he had stuck to warbling about his woman leaving him, his dog dying, well, his sales would still be in the toilet. But at least he wouldn't be a laughingstock right now. This guy is like cheap wine. He's trying to be a darling to the white right because nobody else is buying his music. Sure, he's gotten a few outraged dollars and a few outraged clicks, but those are drying up again, so at this point he's back to getting sympathy, though not much else. The white right loves to give lectures about actors, athletes, and singers needing to shut up and dribble or shut up and sing. Well, they should have saved that advice for Jason Aldean and James Woods and the rest of the kooks, crazies, and cranks. But then again, these chumps have the same problem that Ron DeSantis has. When you have limited talent but unlimited stupidity, you might as well pull the racist stunts, because if people don't pay attention to you for that, they wouldn't be paying attention to you at all. So now that the temporary and artificial spike in attention from the white right media has faded away predictably, Jason Aldean now returns to the pathetic obscurity from which he had been momentarily plucked. Well, at least he'll have a genuine motivation for the next song he makes about some loser crying in their beer. And as for the racists who thought to themselves that they were showing the world their little economic power, well, you see how long your flex lasted. 1 whole week. Their hero's #1 record has fallen off a cliff. In record time. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Cloudwalker Z, Rod's Money, Anthony Pollard, Rochelle Rollins, and Paris RBG. Salute to them, and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.